Hey, it's Costin with Solutions 8, and in this video, I want to talk about performance-based campaign management. And you might call this something else, incidentally. You might call it participation, commission, affiliate, etc. We get a steady stream of inbound leads that request some level of performance-based management. So, basically, will you work on commission? Will you manage my Google Ads campaign? And if it's successful, I'll give you a percentage of the profits or, some type of cut, depending on how we slice and dice it. And we have chosen not to take these projects on as a rule. And there's a reason. We've actually made some attempts in the past at various products or companies, things that we got excited about or were interested in. As a matter of fact, we've been pretty successful with some of them. My first really big exit as an entrepreneur was with a company that we sold in June of 2019. It was a real estate investment company. We built the entire marketing arm of it. And when we sold, we participated in that exit. That worked out really well, but it swallowed up a really significant amount of our time, effort, energy, resources, etc. It was effectively starting a new company. And taking, that paradigm off of the table, let's say that we're not starting a whole new entity. Let's say that somebody just wants us to manage their campaign, and instead of paying us for the services, they want us to take a percentage of their profits. There's a few issues here. So the business owner's paradigm would be put your money where your mouth is. If you're actually good at Google Ads and y'all are everything that you say you are, then you should be able to do this and produce a profit. And there is some truth to that. The issue, though, is in a performance-based arrangement. I don't know about your business, your profitability, your scalability, your margins, your retention, and there's a separate piece to this. We're not just testing my ability as a marketer. More to the point, and forgive me for being petulant, I'm not trying to be arrogant right now, but I think it's fair for me to say that, with over 15 years in doing this and the pedigree that we do have, and I won't go through our laundry list of kudos and props and badges and gold stars and those things, but we're actually pretty proven. We're testing your business inside of an organic ecosystem. So it's not about me proving that I can do what it is that I say I can do. I've got case study after case study after case study, as many of them on my website and my YouTube channel as I think is necessary to prove that. Now we need to see, can your product, your business, your model perform inside of the ecosystem that you've chosen? And I didn't have any say in that. I didn't help pick your product. I didn't help pick your industry. I don't know what your funding's like. I don't know what your spend's like. Even if we get to the bottom of some of those things, really you're asking me to be a business partner, which is something that, as you can imagine, is a little more fatiguing. It's a bigger ask than just, hey, let's set up a commission based arrangement. Even if that weren't a concern, there are other issues that we run into. One of them is ownership. So let's say that we're working for, on some performance-based arrangement. Who owns the Google Ads campaigns? Because, if it's your business, really, you should own them. And I actually believe that strongly. Any client that comes to Solutions 8 owns all of their collateral. I've seen a lot of clients get locked up into, really weird contracts and IP agreements where the agency ends up owning their stuff. And I think that's a horrible way to do business. However, if we're working for performance, and I'm building the Google Ads campaign and you haven't paid us for this campaign, then in my opinion, I should own it. And you may not agree with that, and I wouldn't blame you for not liking the way that sounds, but it's performance-based. We're not being paid for the work, we're being paid for the output. Further, we would need to protect ourselves in the event that you're like, oh, this is great, let me just walk away and try to do this myself with somebody else. So you couldn't just pull the plug one day. So now we're in this really weird combative arrangement where we own IP connected to your business. And to be frank, even if you did want to take a walk, I'm not a litigious person. I wouldn't want to involve myself in a situation where, we're now arguing over something like that. So that feels pretty uncomfortable and it's something I'd like to avoid. And even with that said, so take that concern. Let's take it off of the table for just a moment. Let's say that we do own the campaign. You're perfectly fine with that. You agree to it. There's an entire proof of concept discussion here. We're going to be making strong strategic recommendations and decisions and trying to figure out how exactly we can cut this pie. And it wouldn't be difficult for someone to bring us on performance-based just to prove concept, to figure out how to make it work, and then go replicate that themselves with a cheaper agency elsewhere. So now you've gotten all of our thought leadership, all of our direction, all of our strategy, and basically gotten it for next to nothing, because in the beginning, as the campaign's ramping up, nobody's making any money, and when it comes time to pay the piper, you get to jump ship, and we're sort of left hold the bag. So outside of actually owning equity in an entity, we've made the decision not to do any performance-based campaign management. Now, we are receptive to equity ownership arrangements, but even that is an issue because, and if you're a business owner, you know this, owning equity in a company isn't all upside. There's some significant downside too: risk, liability, capital calls. What happens if the company's not as well funded as it needs to be, and now we're 25% owner or whatever, and we have to cut 25% of whatever inbound check is headed in. So we've made the decision, and hopefully I've explained this well without sounding petulant. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I do want to, throw our cards on the table and help. If you're running an agency, I'd think about this a little bit before you go, putting together those commission-based deals. We will take submissions or inquiries from people who are interested in an equity share arrangement, which, to be honest, should wipe most people off of the table. Because if you want to give me a piece of your company, I kind of already don't trust that the company's worth anything. Because why would you do that? Now, you'd have to hurdle that objection from me. And you might say, hey, y'all are the best Google Ads agency on the planet. I've been watching your videos forever. I saw you speak at TNC. Saw you through traffic or digital marketer or whatever. I know what you can do for my business, and you could flatter me into saying like, okay, that sort of makes sense to me. I can see how having an entire marketing department as your back office would be helpful for your business. We've been able to do this in the past. And then we would have the discussion about equity splits, which from our perspective would need to be significant. So we're not taking, 2 or 3 or 5, or even 10% sounds a little light given everything that we would need to do in order to help build an entire company with you and alongside you. So all of that to say, hopefully I've, not just offended the daylights out of everybody, but I want to make sure that I make this case effectively. This is why we've made the decision that we've made. I'm sure that there are a bunch of reasons that it's a bad decision. Like all decisions, it's a balance of risks. Maybe we're turning down a massive opportunity. I actually had the idea years ago. I even bought the domain name for a while. I think I let it go, but it was Arrogant Marketer. And I wanted to launch a company called Arrogant Marketer and say, don't pay me anything. Don't pay me anything. Let me run your marketing, and I'll take a percentage of your profit lift. So, if you're making whatever it is, $1 million a year EBITDA, and I bring that up to $1.5 million, then I want 25% of that or whatever. And I think someday I still might do that, like when I'm fat and happy and retired. But that's not this. We've got a model with Solutions 8. And I guess another objection that I should raise from a performance-based perspective is we have systems that are airtight. Just the way that our billing works, or our client management, or the way that we pay our employees or our vendors. It's all built into the system that requires kind of a certain, very specific cadence and approach. And it's hard to do that with performance-based campaigns and projects, because it's like, well, which client manager do I give this to? And how can we incentivize the client managers so that it's aligned with this new performance-based project? Because in an interesting twist of fate, performance-based projects put your campaign at a mild disadvantage, because we're trying to squeeze as much fruit out of it as we can in the short term, where really what you want is a manager and an approach that's looking for long-term scalability and sustainability. None of our client managers are incentivized by increasing spend. We don't play that game here. That's what most agencies' KPI is internally, incidentally. In my experience, agencies are constantly looking for their CMs to try to boost their client spend. We don't do that at all. We want long-term campaign performance and retention. Those are our KPIs. How is the campaign performed over the long term, and how is your overall client retention slate looking? And so if we take a performance-based client and we lob that into the center, it muddies up the waters. And, I can imagine client managers saying, hey, I actually don't want to take that type of client on because, the likelihood of them leaving faster is higher. And then do we incorporate that into the numbers, or do we not? And if we don't, does that count towards their overall slate, et cetera? So just rounding out all my problems and throwing them out onto the table. So the next time somebody asks, if you get this video, hopefully it's helped kind of articulate some of the issues associated with taking on that type of project. It's not that we don't love you. It's not that we don't want to work with you. It's not that we don't believe in your product or you or your business or your vision. All of that could be very true, but it's just easier. Pay me some money. And if it works, your upside, by the way, is going to be significantly higher than my costs. We have made some people, I look at me and my partner joke about it all the time. We've made some people millions and millions of dollars, and we're sitting here, taking away our little, whatever it is, $2,000 a month plus a percentage, which is fine. We built a whole business around that, and we've done very well, and I'm really proud of it. And we've been successful because of it, but it just works way easier if there's a clean line of demarcation. And now you get to yell at us because we're vendors and not partners. And, we're held to a higher degree of accountability, I think. And, it sets us up for long-term success. So all that rambling aside, I hope this video lands well. I'd be really interested in your thoughts and comments. I think I'm going to share this to our YouTube channel because I actually think this type of content is relevant to everybody. And if this helps anybody in terms of how they're positioning themselves and their offering, I'd be really interested in knowing. So hit me in the comments if you have any questions or input, or if you've thought of something I haven't thought of. Maybe I'm missing the boat here. Maybe there's more for us to do and I'm being short-sighted. And I've been 15 years at this and I've tried it every other way. So I'm dug in pretty deep, but I'm always open to, an alternative version of the conversation. Give me a thumbs up if you like what's going on. Subscribe if you want to see a video every single day. Otherwise, thank you for watching and I'll see you tomorrow.